All right, guys, so welcome to orientation for spring 2017. I'm sorry I couldn't be with all of you guys at UF. I will be back in Gainesville this weekend, but I couldn't make it there today. I'm sure you'll see me plenty at all the other events we have in Gainesville. But since this will be a little bit different because I'm not going to be there in person, if you have any questions, just let me know, put it in the chat, whatever, and mute me, and then you can go ahead with your question, okay? Because if we have too many people on the audio, you'll hear the echo, which can be very annoying. So I'm going to present to you guys. Just if you need to say anything, I'll be on that screen, so just make sure to unmute yourself so that I can hear you. All right. Can everyone see that?
Full screen.
Let me know when you guys are ready, okay?
We're ready.
Okay, great. So first things first, we're going to review the orientation clearance assessment. There was probably only a handful of you that got 100% on the first try. You know who you are. Congratulations. This quiz was not meant to be easy. It was meant to really test how much you knew and then show it to yourself and then be able to know what you need to do more research on. So just to review this really quick, does anyone there maybe want to go through it, and maybe you can take one question and go to the next and say what the right answer is? You guys feel comfortable doing that?
Sure. Yes.
All right, go for it.
Can I do the first one? Which of the following is a CBOB program?
Vow for Peace, Children Within Our Borders, VIP, CBOB, student chapters.
Correct. Great. Just so that you guys know, we'll go over some of these. Crossing Borders was once a program, no longer. Pediatric Mobile Clinic is an event. New Horizons is no longer part of our programs. Education Means is more like a campaign, not one of our programs. I'll go over this one really quick because it's important that we know this one, which supervisors match with their correct title. My title is Operations Director. I'm not the volunteer manager anymore. Andrea is not the president. She is our executive director. Juanita is not the trip coordinator anymore. She is now the service trip director or director of service trip program. Shayna Call, that is the correct answer, is the volunteer coordinator. Amanda is the creative director, which is not the same thing as a PR director. Just keep that in mind. Anyone want to do the next one?
Lipkin.
We can't hear you. Who? John. All right.
John Lipkin. Yeah, so Andrea Ortega, that's on there. She's, again, our executive director. Angelica and Oscar were founders. They are not the president. This next one, anyone want to shout it out?
501c3 nonprofit.
Yep. We are a nonprofit, but it's more specific than that on the IRS. What is the first thing I should do to find documents on the drive?
DNC.
Yep. So you'll check shared with me, and then you'll also search the drive for keywords. If you guys don't know how to do that, I'll show you in like 2 seconds using another slide on our orientation. This one, super important. You cannot use your personal email for anything involving CBOB whatsoever. Not even an option. Can you use your CBOB email can you use your personal email for anything CBOB related? No. Make it very clear. If you receive an email from CBOB to your personal email, if it's not a newsletter, it's usually bad news because that's where we send your strikes, because your partners don't need to know that you got a strike. And strikes will make sense in a second. Which of the following are essential parts of a properly composed email? I'm going to go over this one because I would say out of all the questions that were wrong, this is probably the one that was missed the most. This was explicitly said in one of the videos that was part of your training. You need to sign off the email, use proper capitalization, you need to use proper grammar and salutation, but you should not address all the topics you need to talk to a person about in one email. Yes, if you need to talk to them, for example, if I need to email Andrea, our executive director, about orientation, and I need to show her all the documents I'm going to put in orientation and the orientation PowerPoint, that's fine, because you're covering a bunch of different subtopics within a topic. But if I need to talk to her also about potentially going to Bound for Peace trip and the CWAB event that's coming up, you want separate emails, because at that point, I'm going to start writing a novel, and she's not going to read the whole thing. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're corresponding, both outside of CBOB and within CBOB. Everyone get why that question was not exactly how everyone put it? Well, most people put it. This is another important one. You can join Google Hangouts by simply putting in the name of the video call. That's important because we will have weekly meetings through Google Hangouts, and it saves a lot of time if you're already on the call when your supervisor gets there, or you guys get there basically at the same time. It saves us time and we get straight to what we need to do. Maybe you'll even be able to finish the meeting early. Anyone want to do the next few?
True.
Yep. You will have to do Google Classroom assignments, and there's already one up there, which we'll talk about momentarily. This one got some people. Anyone want to take it on?
C.
To see, yes, accept all invites. You can put the interested thing or whatever on Facebook. You don't have to put that you're going, just that you know about it, and you'll be able to invite your friends or whatever. This is another one I want to make sure you guys are aware of. Student chapters, we are not the student chapters. We help the student chapters, and they raise money for our events. I mean, for like our programs, mostly for IMCBOB. And this next one, why is it false?
Because it takes place everywhere.
CWAB.
Orders.
Yep. The next one, who wants to take the next three? Yep. And then for the next one, FIU is not official. And for the last one, VIP can be involved in the student chapter, but VIP is not a program of the student chapter. We are separate entities. Any questions about the orientation assessment? Nope.
Nope.
Cool. So just quick history. CBOB was started by UF students, which is kind of cool that now almost all our interns are UF students, totally not on purpose. And they started because they wanted to give back to their home country of Colombia. And since then, we've grown quite a lot. We now travel to multiple different cities and have also brought our mission back to Florida and started our Children Within Our Borders program. So to continue with this and make sure that you guys have this drilled into your head by the end of today, what are CBOB's 5 programs?
Children Within Our Borders, Children Beyond Our Borders, student chapters, volunteer peace, volunteer internship program.
And IMCBOB. So this is super important. This was one of the questions in your interview process. Very few got it right, but at this point, you guys should know this like the back of your hand. You guys should be able to quickly, there's gonna be people that ask you, oh, you do your internship with CBOB, what is that? What do you do? You should be able to answer these types of things already, okay? Bound for Peace, Juanita, would you wanna go really quick, talk about it?
Sure. So Bound for Peace is a volunteer service program that takes place in Colombia, Nicaragua, or Ecuador. This year we're not going to Ecuador. We're not going to Nicaragua. So what we do is we partner with local foundations there. Those range from children's homes to community centers. And we do interactive and fun and educational workshops with the kids living there. That could be from bullying to self-esteem, all the way to gang violence, sexual health, relationships, things like that. So if you want to apply, applications for spring break are open for 2 more days, and for summer they're open for a couple more weeks. So let me know if you have any more questions about that.
Great. So I'm going to go through the programs pretty quickly. You guys have a chance to go through this later when I send you guys a link. But our IMC-Bob program, it's a scholarship program. We provide full paid tuition and additional things like transportation, meals, and books, stuff like that, to scholars in Colombia. Right now, all 4 of them are in Colombia, and in the pictures, the 4 that we're providing this scholarship for right now. And we did have 5, one already graduated and studied abroad in Northwestern University. This is our newest program, Children Within Our Borders. Those are the workshops that we do both in Orlando and in Gainesville. Currently, our Tallahassee Children Within Our Borders is going to be put on pause for a variety of different reasons, but we definitely hope to open that back up soon. Our student chapters, as you guys know, we do have student chapters at UF, UCF, and FSU. FIU is unofficial, and we do have an Eastside High School chapter, which is in Gainesville, which is important to keep in mind, especially for community outreach interns in Gainesville, because community outreach is a great opportunity for that chapter to get involved with CBOB as a whole. What I want you to get out of this page, this slide, is that these programs are inactive. If anyone asks you about them, bottom line, they're inactive. They have possibly led to other programs or are possibly going to be programmed in the future, but all you need to know is that they're not active right now. And that includes Crossing Borders. Crossing Borders is what Bound for Peace used to be, but that's not what it's called anymore. So just in case you come across any of this in your drive with these names, they're not being actively used right now. And this is VIP, what you guys are all in. VIP has so many different positions and so many different areas that we touch on, from community outreach to public relations and graphic design to our INC All Scholarship Coordinator. But in general, we are seeking to improve you both as individuals and as professionals. So we hope that you get something out of it as a person and that you're enjoying it, and also growing in what you will be as a professional in whatever career you choose. Because at least I've always seen, for the most part, is that even if you're not completely aligned with the position you're in and that being your career goal, you're still going to get a lot out of the internship in terms of professional development. I know it's made me grow as a professional for sure, but you'll experience that a little more, so we won't go too in depth with that. This is to try and help you guys understand kind of where everything falls. Just because you guys have probably only seen our VIP positions doc, and that doesn't really tell you this is your supervisor, that's your supervisor, and this is your supervisor. So basically everyone is under the executive director, which she is under the board of directors. But then under the executive director is myself, the operations director, and the service trip director, Juanita. And then you see all the other positions that are under myself, and then the ones in green, their supervisors are in blue. You can see the lines that lead to who. If you have any questions about who your supervisor is, it's a really easy way to double check that. And if you want to know either your job description or someone else's, these are links to all the job descriptions in our positions doc. Do we have any questions about anything so far?
We're all good.
Cool. This is a really important part. Make sure you pay attention. If you have questions, let me get to the end of it, and then I'll go ahead and go through all of your questions. So there are a variety of different types of meetings. We're going to have weekly meetings, which are going to be with your supervisor. So be that myself or Shayna or Amanda or Juanita. You can refer back to that slide that I told you about, and you'll know who your supervisor is. We're also going to be contacting you to set up these weekly meetings. Very, very important that these weekly meetings work for everyone and every time. So it's not going to be like, oh, this week, that doesn't work for me. That's not how it's going to be every single, if you pick Monday at 7 p.m., it's every single Monday at 7 p.m., never fail. Very, very rarely will there be an exception to that. exceptions would be spring break. You're not going to have a meeting during spring break. Holidays will be rescheduled. So there is a holiday on a Monday. I can't remember what it is right now. You wouldn't have a meeting that Monday. You would reschedule it, but it's not going to exist. It's just going to be moved to another day. Then we have team biweeklies. These are meetings that you do with the teams designated on this document. Can you guys see it? Well, it's loading really slowly. Hello. Well, if it decides to open, there's a list of, there we go. So there's a little more detailed explanation at the top, but basically you can see which team you're under. Every single position has a team except for health initiatives. You guys will have this extra time to it's not like you're not going to have anything to do. You're going to have plenty to do. I'm sure you're going to have other not exactly professional meetings, but you're still going to need to probably meet with the NI. You're probably going to need to meet with donors. You're going to need to find donations. So you're going to have plenty to do. But everyone else has teams that they're paired up with, be that either within their position or across positions. So for example, public relations meets with graphics because you guys will be working on very similar things at all times. And basically these meetings will last approximately 30 minutes. And it's more of a brainstorming session and gathering ideas from each other and throwing things back and forth to see what everyone thinks. You can either work on upcoming things. Like I know that the event manager and the fundraising interns would always meet and start working on the next event, delegating what one person's going to do, the other person's going to do. That's perfect use for these meetings. They should not be going through updates all over again. That's a complete waste of your time. So you should go through this meeting. Someone should be writing minutes, and then you'll send it to managers@chbab.org, including attendance. And just to keep in mind, we'll explain this a little bit later, but the same penalties for missing a regular meeting apply when you miss a team biweekly. You'll know, like I'll show you right now, it already says what weeks you have team biweeklies. So there should be no reason that someone can't make it, because you can on Monday send out a doodle and find a time that works for everybody. You have until Sunday to finish them. So there's really no reason that someone on your team shouldn't be able to make it. But if for some reason you guys send out a doodle and not everyone can make it, and you guys talk about it and there's still someone that can't attend, meet still, and that person will be the one that has the consequences and not the entire team. Besides that, we have VIP monthly meetings, but they're more like socials. And this is going to be in person with the entire VIP team. In the past, we have had interns in a variety of different cities. This semester, it's worked out that we have almost everyone at UF, and then we have an intern at UCF and an intern at FSU. So our monthly socials will be held in Gainesville. You can already see the January, February, and March ones. For those of you outside of Gainesville, you're not going to be required to go to these. You will have alternatives in. For the first one, for example, it's going to be the CWOB event. There's a CWOB event in Orlando, which you'll be asked to attend. And then Tallahassee will find an alternative as well. So, but you're always welcome to come. You're not going to be on a requirement for you to drive 2 hours to Gainesville to be able to attend these events. But if you want to, you're more than welcome to, and you would fulfill the requirement that way instead of finding an alternative. And the April one is to be announced, but I should be able to tell you that probably by the end of January, early February. All right. And then here is where I said you'll be able to see the weekly and team meetings. So there's always going to be weekly meetings. And then you see over here, you see team biweekly, who it's with. So very important to notice here, just because you have a team biweekly does not mean you won't have a weekly meeting. The team biweekly is not with your supervisor, so that does not replace the weekly meeting with your supervisor. And then you'll see performance reviews are also on here, which is what we'll talk about next. But do you guys have any questions about meetings? Nope. Okay, cool. Another important thing I hadn't mentioned on this spreadsheet is here. You'll see username and passwords, and you'll see office hours. Those are links to documents. If you don't know how to access something, for example, PR, you need so many sign-ins for so many different things. They're all in the username and password doc. Another important little thing is the group emails. So you have the board of directors, managers, you know who it's being sent to. There's a few other that you can use. All right. So performance reviews. Returning interns, this is something new for this semester. This is going to be that you meet with your supervisor individually. So not as a team, just you by yourself with your supervisor. And you're going to discuss your performance with your supervisor. They're going to give you suggestions, where you can improve, where you've done great, and you should continue to do things the way you're doing. And for interns, it's also time for you to give your supervisor some feedback. And the way you guys probably saw it on the document, I believe it's in February, the first one, and the other one is probably in April. The way this is set up is for you to know before the end of the semester how you're doing, where you can improve. If we only give you feedback at the end, it's really too late and you can't really change anything. So we're giving it to you about midway so that you can know by then you would have gotten wrapped on what you like, getting a feel for everything you need to do and how to do everything. So it's not going to be about just being new to it. It's going to be about whether you're doing it right or wrong, or if there's anywhere we can do it better. And then you'll be able to use that to improve, and hopefully your next review will be better than the first one. A very important thing is the miss one, give one policy. So the way we look at this is when you miss a meeting, you're taking time and effort away from CBOB and what we're trying to accomplish. So we thought that instead of just, this will count as a strike. This is just a different type of strike. When you miss a meeting, our thought process is you took away time and effort from CBOB, so we want you to put it back in. So you have a couple of different options. You can either give a $25 donation. It doesn't have to be from you. It can be from a business or a person. 10 hours of community service with one of CBOB's programs, and or attend 2 CBOB fundraisers for the semester. That being said, you have 1 month from when this is sent. So you will receive an email, whatever day, January 4th, you receive the email. February 4th, you need to complete this. So it may happen that there's 2 fundraisers during that time. It may not. So that is something to keep in mind. And what would cause you to get a miss one, give one is if you do not have proper rescheduling, which proper rescheduling is you contact your team members and your supervisor and you tell them, hey, I can't make the meeting this week for whatever reason. Can we find a time when we can all meet on a different day this week? This is set up so that your supervisor isn't having to do a bunch of makeup meetings, and so that you're also getting the full experience. Because if you do a meeting by yourself, it's not the same thing as if you do the meeting with the entire team. So you should try and do this at least 48 hours in advance, if not more. And just telling your supervisor, hey, I can't go, that's not proper rescheduling. You need to try and find an alternative. Of course, there are exceptions. There are emergencies. We understand that. But just communicate with your supervisor. If you just don't show up, we're not going to know that it was for a good reason. So just communicate and it'll all be fine. Very important little point on here is if you're more than 15 minutes late to a meeting twice, then that's the same consequences. Why? Because these meetings are 30 minutes. If you are late 15 minutes twice, you've the equivalent to missing an entire meeting. And you get 4 reschedules per semester. we're not going to ask. If you want to tell us, you can, but it doesn't matter the reason for rescheduling. If you need to reschedule because you have to go back home for whatever reason, if you need to reschedule because you have an exam, because you have an essay due, the reason is not going to change whether it counts or it doesn't count. There are very few extenuating circumstances. Of course, we're not going to be super mean and not be considerate with emergencies and things like that. But if, like, it doesn't matter to me if it's for an exam, it's for whatever reason, work, anything, a reschedule is a reschedule. Is everyone in agreement with that? Everyone cool? Cool. So just so that you guys know, this is same thing as in baseball, 3 strikes, you're out. First one is just kind of a warning, being like, hey, we've noticed this and this and this. It can't keep happening, so it's time to change. 2 is going to be either suspension or probation. And 3, you're going to be asked to leave CBOB. I will tell you, there are interns that have gotten this in a month, in 2 months. We've had interns that are here for semesters and have never gotten one. This is really up to the individual and how they perform. We don't take it lightly. I don't think any of our supervisors like to give these strikes, but sometimes it is necessary, okay? Just so that you guys know why we give a strike. We don't complete tasks, and this includes biweekly and monthly meetings. If you're not communicating, if we have no idea why you're missing deadlines, and there might be a legit reason, but if you're not talking to us, we're not going to know. If you miss any type of mandatory events, completing tasks is probably the biggest thing. All right, so any questions about strikes or any of that?
Nope.
All right, so Google Classroom. At this point, you guys should have all been added to the VIP Spring 2017 Google Classroom group. It's just like an email saying you've been added to the Google Classroom or something like that. So it's really easy. You just click on join and you're in. We're going to be posting weekly activities. Your supervisor will post, all the supervisors will be posting activities. They'll be posted on Mondays, obviously except this week's. It's already posted, but it was posted today because you guys didn't start until today. And activities will always be due on Sunday by 11:59. This is just like everything else. You're going to have a week to do it. There's no reason you shouldn't turn it in. Make sure you know about it. It's always going to be there. Only time it's never there is spring break. And it's not going to be 2 weeks off. It's just 1 week for whatever school you're in, and then the other week you'll be doing the activity, okay? And some positions might be using Google Classroom a bit more, but if you will be in one of those positions, you'll find out about that down the line. Okay, so our VIP program has a 3-week trial period. So basically, after 3 weeks, both you, the interns, and us, the supervisors, and CBOB as a whole, decide whether this is a match. You can tell us, look, this has been a great time, but I don't think this is the right fit for me as an internship, so I'm not going to be able to continue. Just like we can tell you, hey, we think you're a great person, whatever, but we don't think you are the right person for the job. And at that point, you will not continue to work for VIP or CBOB, and you'll be asked to leave the internship. Does everyone understand the trial period? Any questions about it? Nope. All right. So just a quick little part about communication. We are a virtual internship. This is not, a regular internship where you can go to the cubicle next to you and be like, hey, how's your day going? Can you help me out with this? You need to find other ways because we don't have that office atmosphere. You need to use GroupMe, use email, use text, calls, whatever works for you, use it. Because what we're trying to do is to make communication a tool rather than something that makes things harder or an obstacle for you guys. And just in general, we want to make communication something that makes the lives easier for both interns, volunteers, members, everyone. All right. Just a couple of expectations from us to you. Our deadlines basically always have a no excuse policy. Every now and then, if you're really in over your head, we'll either, like, this is where communication comes in. If you tell me, hey, Tati, I have an exam, a paper, an interview, this, that, can you help me out? Or can you give me an extension? And you ask me that like 2 or 3 days, if not more, before the deadline, I'll consider it. If you tell me hours before, my hands are tied, because CBOB's obligations do not change, even if you're having a hard time in school or you're having more things on your plate. CBOB will always continue to have the same things that it needs to accomplish. So what we would do is just try and either ask someone else on the team, or we'll try and work on it. That only works if you let us know with enough time in advance and you're communicating with us. Because like I said before, like, if you are telling me a bunch of times that you're in over your head with schoolwork, we're not going to accept that excuse that many times, okay? So please, in general, there won't be exceptions unless we really think it is necessary. One of the main things I look for in interviews and when I'm reviewing all your interview criteria is someone that is self-motivated. We will be happy to answer any of your questions, but to me at least, and I think for all supervisors, it says a lot when you've tried to answer the question yourself and then you come to us and you're like, hey, I found this and that, but I'm not sure if it's right. Can you tell me? I will have more respect for you and be like, oh, wow, look, she or he took the time to actually find out for themselves, and then they came to verify if what they found was correct, as opposed to, hey, I don't know how to do this. Can you help? There will be times for that, but in general, if you can, it's very highly regarded when you try and find the answer for yourself. Weekly updates to your operations director and service trip director or your supervisor is very important. And something I always try to emphasize is weekly meetings are not the only time you should be communicating. You should be talking to your supervisor and your team all the time. You can probably ask Amanda. I think we're talking on our group meet every single day, even during the holidays. That's how you make sure that everything is getting done, that everyone's aware of what's going on, and nothing falls in between the cracks, okay? It's also important to communicate with other VIP interns. If there's a fundraiser and no one shows up, and then you tell me, hey, Tati, I don't know what happened, no one was there, and then I find out that you didn't tell any of the interns or text them or invite them, if they're not aware of it and you're not communicating with them, then it kind of also falls back on you. So keep that communication, build those bonds, because you guys, I can almost guarantee a VIP intern will at some point need something from another VIP intern, whether it be pictures, posts, volunteers, like their presence, their help tabling, flyering, whatever. If we work all together and help each other, it's going to work a lot better. But with that also comes mutual respect for time and work. What does that mean? Like, if you text me, for example, with a question and I don't answer immediately, don't send me question marks like, hello, can you answer? I have things to do, you have things to do. We're not always going to be able to answer things immediately. We will all try our best, but it's not always going to happen. So if you need something, give that person ample time to answer you, whether it be for a blog or to be a volunteer, to ask for donations, whatever it might be, give them time as well. You might want the response immediately, but realize that everyone has their own things on their plate, their own agendas, their own busy schedule. And also, respect their work. You might not agree with everything and the way that they've done it. That's fine. Then you nicely explain your point of view. Any questions about that part? Okay, I'll assume silence means no. So for internal email communication, this is really helpful to be able to differentiate how quickly basically you need to respond to something. And beyond just what's on this slide, your subject line is really important. I wish I could have shown you guys my inbox in these past few weeks. I can get 50 emails probably today because of all the submissions of everything. If you just put VIP, I'm never gonna find it. I have way too many things in my inbox to find something like that. Just like I'm sure if you sent Juanita something and just put BFP, she's never gonna find it. There's way too many things that have the same name. So try and be as specific as you can, and also try and use these little headers. So action required, you're gonna see that a lot for me, is that you should respond within 48 hours. And you should also try, if you're the one sending this, be very specific. Don't just say, please reply, or please let me know. That can mean whenever. Be very specific and tell them, hey, I need to know by tomorrow at 12 p.m. Whatever is the time that you need to know, make sure you put it in there. Because if not, you're basically telling them respond whenever you feel like responding. And most of the time, that's not actually what you're looking for. FYI is just what it means. You're just telling them, hey, this is some cool information important for you to know, but it doesn't necessarily mean you need to reply to me or anything like that. Agenda is what you'll be getting from your supervisors. This is meant for you to read before your weekly meetings, and feel free to add to them. I always say when I send my agenda, this is not the end-all be-all. If you think of something that I didn't think of in the agenda, email me back and be like, hey, can we add this to the agenda? I will always be happy to talk about more than what's just on there. Save the dates will be a huge thing that community outreach and fundraising interns will use, because you want all the interns to know what is going on. So maybe you'll send a PR request and a graphic request, but let all the interns know too, like, hey, we're gonna have a fundraiser at Chipotle on February 15th. Just put it on your calendars, be aware, get excited, whatever. So this is another one. You don't need to respond. It's just for you to know and keep in mind. Okay, so I know some of you haven't said anything in GroupMe, which sometimes happens if you don't have it downloaded. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about on this slide and you aren't part of a VIP Spring 17 GroupMe, message me afterwards, be it through text, email, whatever, and I will make sure that you're added to this. But really important to keep in mind that important things like VIP orientation location, things like that, should always be sent through email first, or as well, it doesn't necessarily have to be first, but you need to make sure that it's also sent to everyone through email, and then you can put it on a Google Calendar, put it on the calendar on GroupMe or whatever you want to do, and just put reminders on GroupMe. That's not a problem. But GroupMe should not be the first place you say something, because I'm sure you can already see when there's so many messages coming through, you're going to lose that message that's about something important. So make sure it's also sent through email. Email's a lot easier to find something than it is on GroupMe. Social media, this is something that was created by our social media intern some time ago, but basically we ask that, if you're in this internship, your goal is to, spread the mission of CBOB and help CBOB grow and improve. So PR has a very specific goal in that about, spreading word through social media and through different campaigns and whatnot. So they ask for your help as well. So if we have a big event, we have a graphic, for example, you can either make that your cover photo or profile picture to help us spread awareness about it. And if you can also try and share or retweet, if you use Twitter, 2 CBOB posts a month, if not more. We're just asking kind of these be the minimum things you do. If you guys don't mind, obviously we're not going to be checking this, but our hope is that if you want CBOB to grow, you'll help us also make it grow in a social media and public relations sense. So also, show love to the posts, like them if you can. Our posts look so much cooler when they have like 50 likes as opposed to like 5. Yeah. Any questions so far?
My laptop's about to die.
No, we're just gonna switch to one screen though.
Okay,
Everybody's good here.
awesome. All right. Let me drink water really quick. All right, so you have this little acronym for the perfect email. Be respectful, appropriate, friendly, timely, short, and concise, so on the raft. These are important, and I do put a lot of weight on how you compose your emails. I will tell you, I never want to see on your CBOB emails sent from my iPhone, just no signature or just your name. That's, if you want to do that on your own emails, that's fine, but not on the CBOB one. You're representing CBOB in your emails, and we expect you to do it following these guidelines. You know, you'd want to be, you want to respect the person, so be nice to them and cordial, and you want to be appropriate, so you have different ways of communicating with different people. The way I might communicate with Andrea once we've been emailing 10 times might be a lot more relaxed than the first time I contact Diana, our board of director, and the doctor that works for our mobile health clinic. That might be very different, so make it appropriate to whoever you're talking to. And you always want to be friendly and nice and timely, so to keep in mind, who am I talking to? If you're just sending correspondence within CBOB, if you send it at 3 a.m., doesn't matter. Do not send an email to a doctor at 3 a.m. or to a potential donor at 3 a.m. Try and keep it for people outside of CBOB within normal business hours. Short and concise kind of goes back to that orientation clearance assessment question. You don't want to send anyone novels because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to read them. How do I know? Because a lot of times we'll send emails to the intern that have little things hidden within the email, and almost everyone does not catch them. Things like in the middle, put what's your favorite color, please send that back. Half the time people don't even notice that. So just keep that in mind, that if you send something so long, chances are they might not even read it. And always make sure you copy your supervisor in your emails. So if it's going to be like, it's going to be a long chain of emails, you can forward it to them at the end, that's fine. Just make sure your supervisor is aware of your emails, just because if I tell you, for example, make sure to contact Bank Nightclub and make sure we're good for Dance for Good. If you don't copy me, I have no idea that you did that. I have no idea what they responded. So doing that helps make sure that we are keeping track, that you're doing all your tasks, and that we're not going to hound you for them later, and then you say, hey, I already did that. So that just keeps everyone in the loop. This is an example of what would be off the raft, or that little acronym that we had. So hello, Pita Pit people. We wanted to see if you guys would be down to do a fundraiser with us. It would be for us to get money for our organization. The money goes to our kids in Colombia, Nicaragua, not spelled out, who need the money for school and housing. We'll let you have a cut. How about this weekend? Thanks a bunch, Tati. While I will ask all of you to call me Tati, I am not Tati to everyone outside of CBOB. You do not abbreviate countries. You do not talk about have a cut and are you down? This is lingo when you just talk to your coworkers maybe, or your friends, but not ever how you will contact anyone outside of CBOB. You'll always address them. We'll kind of go through it here. You're going to address them. If you know their name, address them directly. Hi, hello, Dr. whoever, or Mrs. whatever. Introduce yourself. Don't wait for your signature to be the first time they know who they're talking to. If this is the first time you're talking to them, I'd have never gotten an email from CBOB before. Tell them what you do. I work for a nonprofit called Children Beyond Our Borders. If you want to put our mission at the bottom, that's fine. I wouldn't put it at the beginning because that's way too much to say sometimes. And then just be, professional, get to the point, and don't make it super long. And then always end with some type of closing. So something like, thank you for your time, regards, whatever. Or sometimes I won't put something like that because of my signature suffices for that. We'll talk about that next, but your signature should look very much like this, if not the same. Obviously with different position and phone number and whatnot. But we'll go to that on how you guys can set this up. So you'll go to, I don't think I have it. Yeah, I have it there. But it should include your name, Children Beyond Our Borders Inc., and it's not Children Beyond Our Border, it's Borders. That is a common mistake. Put your position and a way to reach you. I'm not going to make you put your phone number, but you must at least have your email address on there. And I would also suggest including the website and our Facebook page, just because if they've never heard of us before, it's a really easy way for them to go click, oh, this is who you are. And the way you do that is you just go to settings in Gmail, scroll down to signature, and add or edit it. Right? You guys all need to do that, because right now, for example, community outreach is going to be Samantha and Anika, not Anika, Mia, and Madison. So you need to make sure that all the right people are on there. And I would suggest, if you're sharing an email, to whenever you sign the email, you're going to have your signature automatically sign up, but also when you're, you finish writing it, whatever, at the end, put particularly who it is. You don't need to edit the signature every time. Just put, like, at the end, put Anika or whatever, so that we know who you're talking to, especially when it's something like you're turning in to me or something like that. If I get an email signed by all three of you, I have no idea who actually did it. Okay, so just a quick recap. The most important things is, this wasn't necessarily mentioned, but it goes with the same thing as, make sure whenever you create a doc, share it with your supervisor and give them added access. It makes it so much easier when you give them added access, because they can already put suggestions, make any minor edits that they need to make already, as opposed to then having to request that from you and wait for you to get to your computer to give them access. Weekly meeting will be on your calendar, and you can join that either using the name or following the instructions, which we're going to go over in a second. That's for Google Hangouts. It's really, really important that for meetings you're there on time. I would say what makes meetings go long or makes them ineffective the most is when we're having to wait for people to sign on, or when people tell me, hey, I didn't get the invite. You don't have to get an invite. You just go to the screen that's a screenshot. Just go to video call, and from all of mine, you will already have the name for it, and you should be able to click it and go straight into it. All of you guys have different names. Like, all the people that have weekly meetings with me have different names, so you're not going to be accessing someone else's video call. And that will automatically be there, even if you don't remember how to do this part. You could even just go into the calendar event and say the name of the Google Hangouts, and you type it in, and you're already on. So do not expect to get an email inviting you every single time. That takes up some time, and it's kind of ineffective when there's a really bunch of ways you can go into Google Hangouts. So maybe we'll be doing that for the first couple of weeks until you guys get the hang of Google Hangouts. But 2 or 3 weeks in, you guys should already be able to automatically get on there and be ready to go. Do you guys have any questions about how to do that part?
No.
Cool. So obviously this is an older screenshot, but same thing still applies. This is more or less what your drive should look like. If your drive does not look somewhat like this, please let me know. Then things might need to be changed or added to your drive. So you're going to have the final list. I'm not sure it's going to be on there already, but you guys will have access to all these documents. You should have branding, official logo, and then whatever position you're a part of will show up on there. Just to point out, official logo is on there because we never want you guys to Google our logo and use it off Google. Use the high definition ones that we have provided for you on the Google Drive to make sure it never looks blurry, bad, or whatever. There are a few different options in there, so please feel free to look in there. There's also the logos for VIP, BFP, CWAB, etc. Another important aspect of Google Drive and Google in general is the naming of documents. This ties into what I said about the email, that your supervisor might get a million emails with similar titles. So if you name documents this way, it's going to be really easy for us to find it. So you just put it program name, title of the document, and month it was created. So for example, COOP UF Superman needs you 316, whatever. Just make sure there's ways to identify it. If you just put CWAP event, there's a million CWAP events. None of us will ever be able to find that again if we need it in a couple months to refer back to it. So make sure things are named this way. Might not be exactly like this every single time, but very similar so that it's easy for us to find. Any questions?
No.
Cool. All right, so just a couple things that we'll be working on this semester. Is going to be Dance for Good, which is a salsa benefit that we have in March. That is the monthly social that we're going to have in March. We're also going to be looking for more recurring donors and to improve our alumni relations. And this little picture at the bottom, this last person is Yosimar, and he was our IMCBOB graduate, the one that studied abroad at Northwestern University. Just wanted you guys to get the chance to see him too. All right, so you guys have a couple of tasks to complete now that you have completed orientation for the most part. I'll be sending you guys this PowerPoint in a bit. It's being slow again. But there is a document with post-orientation tasks. So these first ones apply to all interns. So we want you to, I want to go into this one a little bit. We want you to email the board of directors. It is very important that you have proper email etiquette when you send this email. You are emailing doctors, people that are working in huge corporations, people that have very long-lasting careers and that I myself respect very much. I would not want to see an email and look back and be like, oh my God, how did they write that? And send it to our board of directors. So please, if you want me to check it, I will, but it's not necessary, but please be professional. You're more than welcome to share your career goals with them and your aspirations. Make sure you say what position you're in. It's possible that you want to go into the same field they do. They would be a great tool, great for networking. In general, they're always willing to help and to teach you more, and they're happy to do that. So use this opportunity to introduce yourself to them, to get to know them as well, but just be very professional. Just in general, what you have to do is read your 101 doc, check the HR contact info, office hours, which we'll go over in a second. Make sure you set up your email signature and start working on that Google Classroom activity, and then you'll also set up your weekly meetings with your supervisor, and then go through all of these for your position-specific tasks. Oh, I think just about every single position has tasks that they need completed. If you have any questions about the task, feel free to ask your supervisor. If you're not sure who your supervisor is, feel free to contact me and I will point you in the right direction. This is the office hours doc, which is also linked in the other document that I just showed you, the post-orientation tasks. Basically, what you want this to look like is, different people's looks different ways, but you put in your times of when you're, ideally what this will have is the times you're not going to be available, but you're more than welcome to put times you will most likely be working on CBOB. So Andrea has on there when she works on CBOB, but then she also has her work hours. And during those hours, you can put little notes on the side if you want to. Like, she might not be able to answer while she's at work, or she might be more time before she's able to get back to you. So it's just, this document serves so that if for some reason one day we really need you to answer and we're like, what's going on? Why aren't they getting back to us? The first thing we're going to do is go onto this document and say, oh, she's at work. Let's not bother her. Let's see if someone else can do it or something like that. So it's really important that you keep this updated. If for some reason your schedule changes, update that as well. You should have class on there, volunteering, work, stuff like that. And there's a little tab that says duplicate this. It should be on there. And you'll just duplicate that part. Yeah, duplicate this one. You go here, you just put duplicate. Okay, don't edit that one or edit someone else's. And then once you duplicate it, just change the name of it. Just double click it and you'll change the name of it. So all of you guys should be on there in a couple of days. And just to keep in mind, your personal deadlines, like for your team or yourself, will be set by your supervisor through your meeting agendas. There might be specific dates for specific tasks, but in general, if it's on your agenda, it should be completed before the next week or whatever your supervisor and you agree on. So just keep that in mind. It's not necessarily going to be written out everywhere where you have every single thing due and at what time. Okay, so that is it for me. If you guys have any questions, and welcome to the family.
Tati, do you want the volunteers to message the board of directors again?
Like returning interns?
Yeah.
You are welcome to. You don't have to. If you want to take it one step further and be like, hey, I'm returning this semester. I would love to be able to talk with so-and-so or something like that. If there's someone in particular you'd like to get to know better or hear their experience, for example, about BFP or something like that, you're more than welcome to do that. You guys have any other questions?
No.
All right. So anyone on Google Hangouts have anything you'd like to add or say? Nope. All right, guys. We were able to finish on time. Went pretty quick, but you guys are free to go. Make sure to start working on your post-orientation tasks. If anyone is not added to GroupMe, does not have the CBOB email, or any of the things I've talked about confuse you, just send me an email, please, or text me, whatever. Right?
So, all the contracts I have you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I know!